Hello, my dear friends, teachers, parents, students, and well wishers. A warm welcome to CM Hub. This platform is a space for every parent who believes, every student who aspires, every teacher who inspires, and every leader who guides. This is where motivation meets transformation. My dear friends, let us dream big. Let us act bold and let us be the change. We can leave behind not just marks and medals, but a safe, secure, and a joyful world for every child who dares to challenge and rise and bring proud smiles to their parents. My dear friends, it is also a fact which we all know. A child's growth isn't just decided in classrooms. It is shaped by the combined actions of parents, teachers, and the child. Most importantly, the way they communicate with each other without fear, doubt, and inhibition. And all this for the betterment of the child. Right now, somewhere in your city, a parent is lying awake at 2 a.m., worried about their child's future. A teacher is grading papers, wondering why that bright student suddenly seems lost. And a teenager is staring at their ceiling, thinking, nobody understands what I am going through. If any of this sounds familiar, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we are not just talking about education. We are talking about the invisible walls that separate the three people who care most about a child's success, and how those walls are quietly breaking hearts. When we sit with them, all the three want their voice to be heard, want their thoughts to turn into action, which each one believes is right from their own perspective. But in this relentless race of competition, no one stops to understand the fears or concerns of the other. Everyone is speaking, voicing their opinions, defending their stance, but no one is truly listening. And in that silence, my dear friends, between the words, a quiet tension builds like a volcano waiting to erupt. No one understands that their perspective might change, and so does their planning, the moment they truly listen to all the sides of the story. Let me share something that happened during my time as an academic head. I was overseeing the admission process when I first met this student. He stood out immediately, bright, full of potential, and unafraid to ask questions. There was a curiosity in his eyes that didn't care about who was watching or what others might think. He wasn't just impressive, he was eager to explore, challenge the norm, and learn beyond the boundaries of the textbook. That thirst for knowledge, that spark, it immediately caught my attention. During that 1 hour interview, we spoke at length and formed a strong connection. I told him, once the college begins, whenever curiosity knocks, my door is open for you. And he truly took it to heart. From that day forward, I began closely observing his journey. All good things were heard about him, but then all of a sudden, his attention started slipping. His tests were incomplete, assignments missing. The teacher called him careless. The father blamed his mobile phone addiction. I wanted to speak to him, truly speak, but I was waiting for the right moment. He was sensitive, the kind of student who retreats into a shell the moment he feels questioned or judged. I knew that if I pushed too soon, I might lose the chance to really understand him. One day he dropped by, excitedly talking about games and how the internet has transformed the gaming world. His eyes lit up with passion as he spoke. That's when I gently steered the conversation towards his academics. Just the two of us. No pressure, no judgment. And then, almost as if the weight of it all had caught up to him, He looked down and softly whispered, "Sir, I don't even know what I am chasing anymore." No one ever stopped to ask if I liked this dream. It's like my whole path was chosen for me and I am just walking it quietly. That moment hit me like a brick because this wasn't laziness, this was disconnection. A quiet kind of pain that doesn't show up in test scores or attendance sheets. And in that instant, I knew this was not just his story alone. It was the silent story of an entire generation trying to live up to the expectations they never chose. I decided to take a step further. I called in his teacher and his parents, spoke to them individually. Each one was honest. Each one was right in their own way. The teacher spoke with concern, the parent with fear. In both, I heard a deep sincerity, dedication, and a desperate hope that the child would succeed. Not for pride, but for security, for stability, and for the love towards the child. Let me take you through the lens of the three individuals, each standing at a different corner of the same triangle. A triangle where each corner represents a mindset. One, the teacher; the second corner, the parent; and the third important corner, the student. All three are driven by a genuine desire to give their best. All three carry the right intent in their minds and in their hearts. But here is the truth. They live in entirely different worlds, and that difference, my dear friends, is where the disconnect begins. My dear friends, to truly understand a child's journey, we must look through a wider lens, one that captures every angle of this triangle. Because only when we embrace all the three perspectives, the teachers, the parents, and the students, can we truly pause, reflect, and reimagine the way we plan a child's future. The teacher, who is often seen as the architect of a student's career, character, and mindset, carries a responsibility that is both noble and demanding. But to truly understand a teacher's action, today we need to go back in time to the environment in which most teachers themselves were raised. They grew up in an era where obedience was everything. The teacher's word was final. No questions, no debates. Back then, deviating from instructions wasn't just rare, it was almost unthinkable. And that mindset of discipline and deference is still deeply embedded in many teachers today. But here's the clash. Today's students are growing up in a completely different world. A world of Google, YouTube, ChatGPT, Reels, and rapid answers. So when a student scrolls through their phone mid-lecture and asks, "Why should I even learn this?" the teacher feels it like a disrespect. A crack in the traditional teacher-student equation. The teacher, under pressure to complete the syllabus and deliver exam results, begins treating the session like a delivery, not a dialogue. Not because they don't care, but because they are overwhelmed. This is how you score marks. This is how you get ranks. And if I stop to explain every why, I will fall behind. And if marks drop, I will be blamed by the school, by the parents, and by the system. So the teacher tells the student, "Keep your curiosity for later. Let us stick to the syllabus." But here is the hard truth. Delivering a lecture is not the same as creating a connection. And without connection, even the best knowledge rarely sticks. It just floats, never truly settling in the student's mind. The very essence of learning, to awaken curiosity, to inspire growth, gets lost in the pressure to finish chapters and produce scores. Let us now turn to the second corner of this triangle, the parent. Just like the teacher, most of today's parents were raised in a world where survival was the goal. Options were few, choices were rare. Life wasn't about dreams, it was about security. And they pushed themselves hard to achieve whatever little stability they could find. Some battled financial hardships, others lacked guidance, and many simply followed the one path they were told was safe. बेटा इंजीनियर बन जाओ या डॉक्टर या टीचर बन जाओ और अगर गवर्नमेंट जॉब मिल गया तो जिंदगी सेट हो जाएगा. For them, cracking a competitive exam wasn't just a milestone. It was liberation from a cycle of struggle. And now they carry that past like an invisible backpack, filled with old wounds, unhealed fears, and silent regrets. They remember what it felt like to be judged, ignored, and looked down just because they didn't land the right job or earn enough measure up to someone else's child. So today they cling to what they know best: marks, ranks, and safe careers. Yes, the age-old shadow of Sharmaji's son. But let us be clear, this isn't control, it's fear. Fear that their child might face the same pain they did. What they often don't realize is the world has changed. Careers now bloom in coding studios, digital platforms, podcasts, design labs, and even gaming zones. Startups and passion-led professions are creating paths they were never allowed to even imagine. Success today isn't about following the safest road. It's about adapting to the unknown, about thinking creatively, and above all, about understanding oneself. But how can they see this new world when all they were ever taught was how to survive and not how to dream? The truth is, they aren't wrong. They are not villains. They are simply trying to protect their children using the only tools that they were ever handed. And until someone helps them update those tools with empathy, exposure, and conversation, they will continue to protect in fear, not in awareness. And now, my dear friends, let us come to the third corner of this powerful triangle, the student. This is a generation raised in the world of choices. From childhood, toys to gadgets, schools to screen time, and apps to entertainment, they have always had options. And that abundance had shaped them differently. They don't follow instructions blindly. They don't respect authority just because of the age or title. They respect authenticity, connection, and a meaning. This generation doesn't get drawn in by long lectures or textbook heavy classes. They crave purpose. They seek relevance. They want to know why something matters before they commit to it. Tell them what to do. They might resist. But challenge them, excite them, and connect with them, and they will give it their all. They will dive in with a kind of passion and intensity that's rarely observed in this generation. They are willing to fly, to risk, to experiment. They don't fear for the unknown. They are confident that they will figure it out along the way. But they fear being trapped in something meaningless. And let us get this straight. They are not arrogant. They are not being rebellious. They are simply wired to ask questions because they grew up in a world where answers are just a click away. Why wait for the textbook when Google, YouTube, ChatGPT, Claude, and a dozen influencers are ready to respond instantly? But here is the twist. Access to answers doesn't guarantee understanding. Some students learn quickly and thrive, but many struggle silently. When they can't keep up or feel disconnected, they often drift into distractions, dopamine loops, or even unsafe digital rabbit holes. And that is the real crisis, my dear friend. A generation that is flooded with information but starving for connection, starving for guidance, starving for someone to just listen without judgment. They don't need control, they need conversation. They don't want commands, they want clarity. My dear friends, now that you have heard the three dimensions, each corner of the triangle presenting its truth, its fears, its hopes, you might wonder, if all the three are sincere, then why this silence? Why this disconnect? Here is the clash. The teacher speaks of discipline and structure. The parent pleads for security and stability. The student yearns for freedom, but with meaning and purpose. And that triangle I spoke of, it starts to shake, because when each corner pulls in a different direction with the best of the intentions but without mutual understanding, the very foundation of the growth begins to crack. Let me walk you through a few real-life moments drawn from simple yet revealing conversations with the three characters that we are discussing in this triangle: the teacher, the parent, and the student.